Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and a lot of my dispatch videos lately have been shot from my iPhone using a couple of accessories that I connect to it for microphones and lighting and that sort of thing. And the other day I picked up a device that I think might solve some problems for me. This is the Lexar Professional Hub with portable SSD. And what's neat about this is that you get external storage along with a USB hub that has enough ports on it so that you can power everything, but also add your microphone and of course have the storage attached at the same time. And what's nice about this is that it is USB-C insofar as its connection, so it will work on an iPhone 15 and 16 along with many Android phones. So we're going to take a look at this device and see what it's all about in just a second. But I do want to let you know, in the interest of full disclosure, that I paid for this with my own funds. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. No one is paying for this review, nor has anyone reviewed or approved what you're about to see before it was uploaded. So let's get into it now and see what this device is all about. Now, the price point on this comes in at $239 for the 1 terabyte version and $349 for the 2 terabyte. You can also buy the drives here separately. A 1 terabyte drive is $189 right now, and the 2 terabyte is $299. Now, in the box, if you buy the kit with the hub, you get the hub, the SSD, you get a cold shoe connector. I'll demo how this works in a minute, along with a carrying case and a case for the SSD, along with 2 USB-C adapters for attaching it to your phone. Now, this will work with any phone that has a USB Type-C port, but I would recommend making sure your phone has a 10 gigabit per second port, just so you can get the best data transfer rates for your hard drive going out and your microphone audio coming in. We'll test it out with a Pixel phone in a little bit, and in the meantime, we'll try it out with my iPhone here to make sure it can do all of the ProRes recording that you'll probably want to do when you have external storage. Now, the hub portion here is kind of neat. So what you'll see on here is we've got 1, 2, 3 USB-C ports along with a 4th one here at the top. And that's what I like about this, is that we can connect up our microphones, we can connect up our storage, and we still have the ability to bring power in. So we get all of the benefits of a USB hub here with something that snaps on pretty securely. The drive here will plug into the bottom recessed port. It snaps in very securely, and it takes a good amount of effort to get the drive removed. So it will hang on there pretty tight, but you want to make sure it snaps in so that it is properly connected. So now we're going to use this little USB male-to-male connector so that we can get this hooked up to the phone. My only reservation with this product right now is that if you lose this little piece, it will make life a little more difficult for you. So I'm going to push this in, and you're going to notice that this sits flush to the side, so we have plenty of room here to attach a microphone after we plug everything into my phone. So when I connect up my connector here, so you can see it snaps right in there. Now, I don't have a case on this phone, and you can see the tolerances here don't really support a case. So I will show you some alternatives in a second that might work, especially if you got a thick case or you want to use a cage with your phone. Now that we've got it all connected here, what I can do is actually attach my microphone receiver to the bottom port because this is all flush. If I had a regular cable plugged in here, I wouldn't have room. So I can just pop that in like so. And now I've got my microphone receiver, I've got my SSD and the hub, and I still have a port available here for power. All right, so now we've got the whole monstrosity working here. I did connect power to the USB port there. Off camera, I did try to connect up a second drive to that port, but this port here on the side is for power only. Now, I've got this connected to wall power right now, but in the field, you might want to plug a battery in. But without power, it'll work off of the phone's battery, so you can use this without an external power source. Now, right now, I am running Final Cut Camera. This is an app that allows you to record ProRes files at 4K at up to 120 frames per second, which is pretty cool. And we're going to put this to the test to see if this drive can keep up. And before I hit the record button, I'm going to jump into the settings icon here and make sure that our microphone has been detected, and it has. So we are now connected up with the USB microphone, and we are going to now record onto the drive. So I'm going to hit the record button there, and I'm going to move the camera around here and take some shots vertically, unfortunately, just to fill this thing up and give it some motion that it has to work with. And what I'm going to do is just let this go for about 5 minutes or so. I want to see if it can keep up. One of the issues that we found with other drives on the iPhone is that if the drive draws too much power, it will stop working. And that, of course, is not something you want to have when you are shooting professionally. So we are going to let this thing run its course here. And when it is done, I will let you know how it did and how big the file was when it was complete. All right, our 5-minute 4K 120 frames per second ProRes file recorded successfully. It took 102 gigabytes up on the external SSD that's attached to our phone here at the moment. So as you can see, recording in ProRes does require a lot of storage, especially at high frame rates. But the good news here is that we were able to record a decent duration file without issue. It doesn't feel all that hot, and the drive was able to record every frame successfully. So that was a good sign that this can work in some pro level kinds of situations. Now let's take a look at how you might mount this monstrosity here in different ways, because if you do have a case or you want to use some kind of mount, you'll probably look for a little more flexibility. So why don't we take a look and see what they provided in the box for that. So here's how I have my iPhone configured now when I'm out in the field. I usually attach a handheld tripod like this, and that way I can do one of these things and then also go around and cover some of the booths that I'm visiting. A lot of people like to use cages, and that works, I think, if you have a camera person, but typically I'm using a handheld microphone to block out the noisy environment and holding the camera with my other hand here. So having something that is running along the center of gravity seems to be a bit more comfortable for me, and it gives me a lot of shooting flexibility as well. Now, what we've got on the top of the tripod here is a mount called the Glyph, G-L-I-F. I've had this for a number of years now. I love it. It's my favorite phone mount. It's worked flawlessly over the time that I've had it. And it's got 3 tripod mounts on it. It's got one on the bottom here that I'm using with this tripod, but then I also have cold shoe mounts attached to the other tripod holes on the top and on the side. And what the Lexar thing comes with is a cold shoe cable. This is another thing that could get lost or damaged, but when it's working, it's going to be very flexible, because what you do is plug it into the port there. And as you can see, we are still flush here to the unit, so I can plug in another USB device. And what I'm going to do now is just slide this in to the cold shoe mount that I have on the Glyph here. And I'll just push it down a little bit to get it in place. And then I can tighten it up with these screws here to lock it in. Additionally, and this won't work in this particular scenario, but they do have another tripod hole here. So you could actually attach other things to the mount. And then, of course, we plug the cable in to the phone for data transfers. And then I've still got that port freed up here so I can attach my microphone to the port that it was in before. And of course, my power port here is still accessible. So this might be a little easier if you are using some kind of mount or you have a large case that you want to use it with. This will certainly be a little bit more flexible. All right, let's take a look now at the Android platform. I've got it plugged into a Pixel 8a, and I loaded up the awesome Blackmagic camera. And I was able to direct the Blackmagic camera to save the clips to the external hard drive here. So as you can see, if we go into my file selection, the Lexar is selected here. We're going to use that folder and allow that. And then I also checked the audio settings here too, and the wireless microphone showed up there. So if I go back to the camera here, I'll just hit the record button for a few minutes and let it run its course. But it looks like everything is working here. We are still charging the phone. The microphone is working. I'll tap it here, and that seems to be picking up as well. So this is a solution that will work with the Blackmagic camera app on Android, along with the Blackmagic app, of course, on the iPhone, and using the Final Cut Pro camera app we were using earlier. So cross-platform here, no issues at all. But what about transferring files off the SSD, and what kind of performance does it have? Why don't we plug it into my Mac here and we'll find out. All right, so I just plugged the SSD into the Mac's USB Type-C port, and I booted up the Blackmagic disk speed test. And here you can see it does start out of the gate at over a gigabyte per second, but it seems to settle in around 935 megabytes or so on the writes, and it reads at about the same speed. And this is the type of speed that I typically see out of a good USB Type-C Gen 2 drive. So it looks like it can keep up with the demands of a high bitrate video file, as we saw before, but it should also do very well with lower bitrate files and read those files off of the drive back onto your computer very quickly for editing. So altogether here, a very nicely performing SSD. So I think this is a very useful production tool. You've got plenty of storage you can connect and disconnect as needed. It does connect very securely both to the hub here, but also to the computer when you plug it in, or to the phone's USB-C port. You got the ability to use your microphones along with getting power in and having the storage all at the same time with something that mounts quite easily. My only gripe is the fact that I don't think they're selling these little connectors here separately just yet. I hope that they do, because one of the things that induces anxiety with me when I'm traveling for a production shoot is forgetting all the little parts that you need to make a solution work. I've already got audio cables that connect to other adapters, and I have to remember all that stuff, and it drives me crazy. So I hope we can maybe get these cables separately just to have them in an extra bag in case we forget to put them in one of them. I have many times forgotten one little piece that almost broke an entire production workflow. I do like, though, they give you a nice carrying case here, at least with the bundle kit that included the drive and the hub, so it can all live together and be carried together. But again, I would like to have the option to get some of these accessory items separately just for added peace of mind. That's going to do it for this one. Until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.